Hello, Metropolis! Welcome to the 46th Annual Superman Celebration. My name is Dan Ryan. I'm going to be hosting the Q&A here with Anais Fairweather. I'm going to be chatting with Anais for a bit, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions from you, and you can ask her whatever is on your mind. So start thinking of your questions and be ready when we bring in the microphone. And we've also got a special treat here. We've got Stephen Walden, one of our great artists in Artist Alley. I've got a lot of his St. Louis Cardinal stuff hanging up on my wall at home. He has got amazing artwork. Please go check him out in Artist Alley. But he's going to be doing a live speed painting of Supergirl.
Unbelievable.
Right behind us. So he's just going to throw his talent right in our face. And we'll get to see the big unveiling at the end. But right now, already on the stage, I was going to say welcome to the stage.
I'm already here.
One of our featured guests for the weekend. She's the voice of Supergirl in the original DC Superhero Girls animated series. And is this your first appearance in Metropolis?
It is. It is my first time in Metropolis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anais Fairweather.
Thank you for welcoming me to your home. It's wonderful here, and everybody has been so kind and lovely, so thank you.
I was just going to ask you, how's Metropolis treating you so
Everybody's
far?
literally been so nice. I mean, I love LA, I love Hollywood, but you know, I need to tell you, it would be nice to have a few more of you there.
You need to just bring the Midwest to
Yes,
to
bring
LA.
the Midwest. Everybody has always said in LA, they ask me if I'm from the Midwest, and I'm a California-born native, but I'm like, no. First, when I went to the Midwest, I went to Kansas City to do a commercial, and with the Chiefs, and I understood for the first time why people said, "Are you from the Midwest?" Because I like to talk to people, and I like to chit chat and learn about people I don't know about. So there it is.
Yeah, my wife gets mad at me because I just talk to everybody.
I talk to everybody.
Just shut up.
My husband's the same way. Will you stop?
Yeah. So I gotta admit, I kind of told you off stage, I was a little nervous about mispronouncing your name, so I practiced.
In the mirror.
I practiced
Yes,
in the mirror,
yes.
my self-reflection, for the day.
Yeah.
Anais.
Anais, yes, you're
Fairweather.
saying it great.
So 10 points for Hufflepuff. Thank you. Want to get to know you a little bit, and like I said, open things up to the audience. Before we talk about your experience as Supergirl, one of the great things about the Superman celebration is that you get to see so many different fandoms represented around here. What were your fandoms growing up? Were you a big superhero fan?
I really loved Catwoman growing up, and I know that's, Batman, but God, did I love Catwoman. It's kind of fun when you get to play somebody or to see the sort of dark side of all of us, and then to have the twist where it's good and bad and the combination of the two. But I loved Catwoman growing up. She was so cool and so bold, and I just always really loved that, because we always want to be stronger than we feel sometimes. And I will say that is something that I connected to the most with Supergirl, was, this idea that she's learning how to be human, and she crash lands on our planet and doesn't quite understand how to be. And I feel like I totally understand that. I think there's such humanity in her spirit, and I think it's always wonderful to find the humanity in characters. That's always what I'm looking and seeking for.
And you come from a comedy background, right?
I do, yeah.
And to my understanding, voice acting was something that you weren't really, this was like your first experience with voice acting, right?
It was like my first, one of my
So
first
how did
auditions. It was
how
crazy.
did you just all of a sudden go from not voice acting to, I'm Supergirl?
Well, it's kind of interesting. So to rewind, I always got made fun of for my voice as a child. My brother would harass me, tease me all the time, like, God, your voice, because it has this depth, and it's kind of gravelly in the morning. And so I was picked on a lot for my voice. And what I've found as I've become an adult, and I'm always telling children, you know, the thing that you get made fun of is usually the thing that makes you special, and it's the thing that you should lean into, because it's always the thing we want to hide, but it should be the thing we embrace the most. And so I got into comedy. Originally, I thought I was going to do a lot of like horror movies and scary stuff, Catwoman, right? And then I realized as I drive home from those experiences, I was sad. I was like, God, that was hard. And so comedy ended up sort of just happening. I was doing a play at the time that I thought was drama, and some people came and they're like, you're really funny. I was like, I was trying to be serious. And so I started doing comedy, and then my agent, who I got to do commercial work, because I've done a lot of commercials, they said, you have a great voice. And I thought, God, that's so weird, because I always thought I had to hide my voice, you know, mask it, change it, have a higher inflection, be more polite. And so it kind of just happened that way. And it's kind of bizarre, how things sort of work out. Yeah.
It goes to show you that, I mean, being polite doesn't pay off.
It doesn't.
If that's the one lesson we can take away from all this.
Politeness and kindness are different, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yes.
to be kind to people is important, but sometimes politeness can get you in trouble because it keeps you from speaking your truth, and it keeps you from being honest to true to yourself, I find.
You know, the character of Supergirl's really had a resurgence, and not only the animated series, but the films that came with it, and we're about a year away from a new live-action Supergirl movie, too. So what was that experience like, kind of being in the middle of this time when the character really kind of took her rightful spot, kind of more in the forefront of the DC universe? What was that like for you?
It was really special. I think, you know, to be a woman in the world is a really unique experience, and I think it's not something that some people are always comfortable talking about or even hearing about, but to be a woman in the world is very specific, because we are powerful and we have to apologize a lot for our power, and it's weird. We're just human beings. So to be involved at a time when she was taking, I love that question, her rightful spot.
Thank you. Thank you.
A really great question. It was really significant and powerful. Oh, you really?
You know, like you remember the SNL skit with Chris Farley interviewing Paul McCartney?
Amazing.
It's like, you remember when you were in the Beatles? This is kind of my Chris Farley.
I love that. My favorite was when he was eating the French fries. It's like, wow, you're really eating those fries. You're like, lay off that starving. I mean, that is how I eat French fries.
Don't mind us. We're just talking.
No, but it was a wonderful experience, because it really felt like something powerful was happening, that Supergirl was getting her rightful place and a voice, and to say that we can be both. We can be fragile and we can be strong at the same time, and a lot of times our fragility is what makes us powerful. And
I think, you know, representation is a big part of that. And I think about when I was growing up versus how women and girls are represented in comics, and kind of the ancillary comic book movie. It's really different. You know, that when I was growing up, there weren't a lot of options for girls to connect with somebody in the superhero world. And I've been a public school teacher for 22 years. And I know I don't look it, but thank you. Just to have, for example, like the DC superhero girls, they had graphic novels, but they also had chapter books that came out, a series for each character. And to see the girls that I work with every day be able to go to the shelf and have these options there, you know, it's very different than when I grew up. So you were a big part of that. Talk about a little bit about maybe how it was different from when you were growing up as well.
Yeah, I think that's why I, kind of was drawn to Catwoman, because she was kind of the one that we were given in a lot of ways. Of course, there were others, Storm, but at the time that I got this role, my niece was born, And I got to experience what it was for a child through her, and that she got to be superhuman and she got to practice her own power. And it was so eye-opening for me. Because yeah, there was this video that went viral, and I think it was for, it might have been for Nike or something. And it was this video, and it showed these young boys saying, you know, run like a girl. And they were kind of like doing this, you know, like acting all tired. And they were asking people of all ages, women, men, everybody, and they were all kind of like, and then they asked girls who were 5, 6, 7, 8, run like a girl. And they ran. They ran as hard and as fast as they could and as strong as they could. And it's exactly that. We experience ourselves as strong and powerful. And then society or whatever tells us sometimes a different story. And then we sort of apologize for our strength. I think it's so beautiful that Supergirl has had this resurgence and this real stage, because we all deserve to be strong and to feel our own power, no matter who we are, no matter what gender, race, whatever. We all deserve to understand our own unique power. And to be in the education system, so much of what I believe is based in educating ourselves. I mean, you're never too old to, like I still take classes, you know? My husband just took an art class at the community college by our house. He was like, I want to learn to do some different art, you know? And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's incredible when we continue to learn. And when we decide that we are, you know, too old to learn anything, it's like, that's such a bummer, because our brains, our bodies, our minds, our spirits want to grow. So that's a very big, lofty, probably a way of saying, I like Supergirl.
Well said. Just like direct to the point answer. I like that. So let's talk about Supergirl in particular. When you took on the role,
Yeah.
Was there any pressure, either internalized or externally, because of the magnitude of the part? Because I'd have to think that, like, as iconic of a character as she is, it was probably a big responsibility to take on the role of portraying it.
It was. And I mean, at the time, I didn't have children yet. I have 2 little girls now, but I didn't have kids, and I was understanding my own strength and my own power, my own voice as an actor, as a human being. And so what I felt what was good about what I brought to the audition and the role was this true sense of humanity. I mean, in the voice booth, it picks up everything. If you're feeling a little insecure that day, if you're feeling a little tired, if you're feeling like, oh God, am I saying these words okay? You know, even just the slightest little moment of insecurity or thought, that microphone picks it up, baby. And it is like, so what I think at the time I was understanding myself, and I think it did work it worked to my benefit, because that was very much her voice in those early films and television shows. Somebody who is powerful but doesn't necessarily feel powerful. And how do I feel powerful, and how do I understand myself? Through friendship, which is what I loved about DC Superhero Girls. Through friendship, through community, and the kindness and generosity of others.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what, in your opinion, what was the true spirit of the show? Was it about like female empowerment? Was it friendship? Was it balancing team life and superhero drama? What was kind of the spirit in your mind?
Oh, those are all really good. Those are all really good. I think somebody could say, I think if you ask 10 people, they might say different answers. You know, all 3 of those would have the space. For me, what I really loved about it was what we talked about, was that it was giving a stage for all different kinds of girls to say, I'm powerful and strong in all these different ways. I have, you know, Batgirl was super smart and she could figure out computer programming. And, you know, Supergirl was feeling weak and then understanding her own strength. Everybody had a strength. And they supported each other's strengths. I think a lot of times there's this idea that girls are in competition with each other, women are in competition with each other, but I think when you really dissect female friendships, it's like the opposite of that. We genuinely, right, love each other and like are so supportive and so excited for each other's wins, and it is awesome having real, true girlfriends. And so I think for me, the female friendship is definitely at the heart, and supporting each other's strengths and saying, you are amazing at this. Let that shine, you know?
You know, I think the cool thing that was kind of a byproduct of the show, and I don't know if this was the plan going in, but what I see with my boys students, they are also checking out these books. They're also enjoying the show and talking about it. And I think that's something that, you know, there was a little bit of that when I was growing up. You saw that they had He-Man and then they had She-Ra.
And I love She-Ra too.
Yeah,
Yes.
and there was a little bit of crossover with, you know, the boys kind of digging that show a little bit. But, you know, in the 2025, I think the boys really are, you know, they're checking out the books about Bumblebee and Supergirl, and, you know, and I think that's even more powerful. The fact that the boys are really connecting with that as well.
I couldn't agree more, because we really need each other. You know, we need each other. We need the yin and the yang. I think that was always lost about female empowerment or femininity. It's not to say we don't need men. Like, God, I love, my father was one of the most important people in my life and will always be. He's passed, but he is so important to me. I mean, having good men who support women and women who support good men. We need each other. And I love when that, it's no competition. There's no competition. We need each other, bottom line.
And you kind of mentioned this a second ago, but any similarities between yourself and your portrayal of Supergirl? What were you able to bring from your own personality to the character? Or is it just good acting?
Yeah, it's just good acting. No, it's funny that you say that, because, you know, talking about my dad, he was a World War II fighter pilot. He was 64 years old when I was born. So I had a really interesting experience with a person who wanted to instill in me what was important, and at a time in his life where he wasn't wasting time with things that were unimportant. I got a father who, like, really just was so present because he was living in the moment. So when I auditioned for Supergirl, the audition was, and again, this is to answer your question, I promise I will answer it. What did I find in her that was a similarity? Is she was saying goodbye to her parents because, well, they, you know, where are the children? They weren't there anymore. And so she had to leave them because they wanted to protect her and send her here to protect her. And they didn't know what was going to happen to them. And it struck such a chord, you know. I love my parents and I love my father so much. And to say goodbye, you know, children love their parents, no matter what. And it's such an honor to get to be a parent, you know, because you just want to do right by them. And I really found the humanity in Supergirl, that she has this superhuman power, but sometimes our cape can keep people from thinking that we are the same. You know, it's interesting coming and, you know, I really just want to connect with people, and I just really want to have a human experience. You know, I grew up with 2 psychologists for parents, so our dinner table conversation was like, how are you today? And how are you feeling? And what do you think? And it's like,
You always felt like you were being analyzed all the time?
Always, yeah. Always. But it was beautiful to get to feel like I could be me and that was enough. And I think that with what, being in the education system is so powerful, because you get to tell children, you are enough, you are special, carry that through your life and do great things, whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, it's such a unique and wonderful experience. Yeah.
I've always kind of wondered voice acting versus live action acting.
Yeah.
What are some of the parts about voice acting that are, I don't want to say easier, but less stressful than live action? And what are some parts that are even more difficult?
That's great question.
Guys, I'm on a roll.
Oh my God. Really good question. I mean, okay, well, let's just be real. Whenever I'm doing anything on camera, it's like you wake up and you're like, well, I didn't know I had a zit there. Okay. You walk into hair and makeup and you're like, this is happening. Can you help? I mean, but that's like kind of like a truth. But what's wonderful about live action is you get to use your whole entire being to become somebody else. And you get to have a human experience in the moment where both people are being present. I'm doing a play right now in LA, and it's just such a fantastic experience that for 2 hours, two people are genuinely listening to each other and in the moment, which rarely happens. Except for maybe first dates, but we are totally freaked out the whole time. And live action, you get to be anybody. I mean, there are people of all ages doing voiceover forever. You can have a career for your entire life. As long as you take care of your voice, you can be playing a teenager, you could be playing a baby when you are 80 years old. It's incredible. And it's harder because, in a lot of ways, voiceover is harder because all you have is your voice and you're trying to show and you're trying to bring an entire person or character to life using just your voice. It's almost like you want to do more. But
I kind of wonder, like, if you're in the booth,
yeah,
you're probably doing a lot of the acting with your face that doesn't even get heard.
Completely. Yes. Sometimes you're like up on your feet and you're in the action and you're like trying to do stuff and you're like, this isn't gonna help, but I swear it's making a difference. And then you go with like the pros, Tara Strong, who I worked with, and she just is she'll sit there and just, it all comes out like perfectly. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
So when your version of DC Superhero Girls ended, and then it was immediately rebooted,
Yes.
with and some of the cast members stayed, but it was mostly a different cast.
Yeah.
Was that like a tough pill to swallow for you?
It was. It's hard, but in this industry, you learn very quickly that you can't be precious about anything. You have to just, when something happens for you, you have to be grateful for it. Obviously, you are grateful. You don't have to be, but you are inherently. And it teaches you, that nothing lasts forever, and that's unfortunate, but it's a truth and a reality we all live with. Nothing lasts forever.
And I think there was over 100 episodes of your version of Supergirl. Did you feel like your version of Supergirl had more stories to tell, or were you just thankful for the opportunity to play it?
I was thankful, but I feel like I wish it could have gone and we could have done more, but so grateful. And you never know what's around the corner. You never know what life, is going to hand you. So I'm always like a big proponent of staying true and keep going, because things happen and really great things that you never expected. Yeah.
This will be a time for us to open up to the audience. I've got my good friend Supergirl here with the microphone.
Can you talk a little bit about the shooting of the drunk history episode?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that was so fun.
This is vodka up here, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Start speaking your truths.
Yes. So Derek Waters, who, you know, you sit opposite, co-created Drunk History, who's incredible. So I did 3 narrations, and it's so funny. I mean, it's a wild experience. You get the story ahead of time, and, you know, then it's it's like,
Just start drinking.
yes, you 1, 2, 3, and they're filming you the whole time, telling the story several times. And by the last time you tell the story, I mean, you can barely say anything anymore. You're like, this happened. But you're so committed to telling the story because you so badly want to get it right in all the details, because it's history, you know? And, but that was the most fun opportunity ever. And I was so bummed when Comedy Central pulled Drunk History, because, I mean, talk about an epic show that was so accessible and relatable and fun for everybody.
And educational.
Yes. I mean, I got to tell the true story of A League of Their Own, and that was incredible. And you know, it was such a phenomenal experience. I wish it was still going on. If Drunk History would come back, that would be amazing.
It's hard to make learning fun.
Yes, I mean, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you can do that, I just don't know why you wouldn't want to
That's
keep
it.
that going.
By the way, who is your favorite Catwoman actress, or actor, I should say? And what do you think about AI in the future of your business?
Oh God, yeah, right. Okay, well, Michelle Pfeiffer was, oh my God, just like the way that she would look, you know, and talk about the sweetest person then playing such a dark character. There's nothing better than that.
But I heard you were, I think I saw in another interview, you were a big fan of the Batman 66.
Yes,
show, right?
big time. Oh God, I would rush home to make sure I would get to watch that. I mean, and AI, it's interesting. AI really does have a place, but when we're talking about, and these are the kind of conversations I'm having right now with my friends who are writers and creatives. Right now, we need more than anything to have authentic humanity on our television screens, in our movies. We need, like you were saying, representation. It's so important that young girls are able to watch, you know, are able to pick up comic books. Young boys are able to pick up comic books and have the diversity of storytelling. I think AI has a place for sure, but I think that what makes art important is that it is expression of the human spirit and the human experience. And AI has, you know, its own expression. And I don't ever want it to replace human experience and expression. It's what we have. It's what connects all of us. And it's beautiful. So, you know, I wish AI would do the things that, like, I don't want to do. Like, if we can figure out a way for AI to, like, take out the garbage, and AI to, like, you know, when I can't figure out something on my phone, you know, these kinds of things. But telling stories that for us, it's just not the place. Yeah.
And that was kind of part of the strike a couple years ago, though. That it was some of the provisions they wanted to put into the new contract.
Yeah.
Was to you got to be careful with it. You know, it's something that's
Very.
very cool, but also very potentially scary.
And it's very scary. I mean, you know, background actors are amazing, and they work so hard, and they are some of the greatest people. You go onto a set and you meet some of the most interesting, authentic people reading books, crocheting things for their grandchildren, and they do their work so that actors of all levels, but like some of the best movies that we have is because that actor is coming on and that they are experiencing a place that feels real, where they can tell a real story. To walk into a room of green screens is very difficult, and it's like, it's great for, you know, when you need to do this, but we need to be able to see things on television and film and art that it is authentically real. And so, yeah, I mean, to take the job of these hardworking Americans is pretty wild. I mean, it takes away their ability to have health care for their families, and, you know, they would just want to use their image for forever. You know, for a very small payment, it's like, no.
There's so many little things, like you said, like the healthcare that people don't think about when they're just looking at the bottom line.
Yes, education, healthcare, these things that are so vital to people's daily lives. I mean, I want to be able to take care of my mom, and, you know, the people who are older than us, they need it more than ever, and they're the ones with the stories.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, I have one.
Oh, yay.
Yes. What, either on camera or voiceover, what would be your dream role? Like your dream character?
Is it Catwoman?
I know, now it is. God, I really. Well, it's so funny because I was having this conversation earlier. Like, I feel like Ursula is like one of the best roles ever, you know, just because you get to be like this evil sea witch. But it's interesting. Like, so much of what I want to do has like shifted. You know, I think that once you become a parent, all of a sudden you have a different idea of what's important and the kind of stories that you want to tell. I think right now, oh gosh, that's such a good question. I think right now, it would be
You only
like a
get
super
one.
mom. It would be like a mom who has superpowers. Do you know what I mean? It could like handle the issues of everyday mom life that we have to quietly bear and like deal with. And there's some serious struggles. Super mom. But like bad ASS. You know what I mean? Like she's tough. She kicks you know what.
We're gonna get AI to write that, and then
No! Can you imagine? We should have a writer that is a mom, right? And then we should have an AI writer and just see the differences in the two films. That would be wild.
I think there was another question back there, Supergirl.
Oh, hey! Okay, so right now this is Lee. Lee was one of the first people I met in LA, and I did a play with him. And the play that I was saying, when I thought that I was going to do something dramatic, and then the people came and they're like really funny, and I was like, what? It was with Lee. And Lee showed up because he lives 20 minutes from here, and I was so shocked. And I've been thinking about him lately so much because I'm doing a play right now, and I was thinking the only other time I've done a play in LA was with you. I tell you.
Hi, Lee.
The universe, baby, the universe.
Well, talking about being a mom and being an actress and everything,
Yes.
I was going
You can
to ask
relate.
how you balance it all, but you kind of talked about it a little bit. So I'd like you to talk about that a little bit more, and then who is your daughter's favorite superhero? Well, both of them, Stormy and
Stevie.
Yes. I want to know who
Well,
their
they're really
favorites
into Super Kitty right now. They're really into Super Kitties. Like, it's really, they love being cats. They love being cats. Catwoman. This is all making sense now all of a sudden. But thank you for the question about being a mom and everything. You know, I'll say this. I met this woman at the jacuzzi at the gym the other day.
As one does.
As one does. She was there with her daughter. Our kids were playing. We were checking PR. She was like, I haven't been in the workforce in 3 years and I want to get back into it, but it's so hard because so much has changed and so much is always evolving. And she was like trying to find a way to fit herself back into the workforce. And I was like, excuse me? You have just done something that is one of the hardest things that can ever be done. You don't need to try to fit yourself into anything. You just show up and say, I'm a better listener, I'm a better delegator now, I'm stronger, I have more empathy, I have all the things necessary. and you should be hired immediately. I think that there is a kind of strength that mothers have, and I'm sorry, but I'm going there, that is this quiet, by yourself, in your home, strength that you have to bring every day. I tell myself every single day, I have to be brave. It is superhuman a lot of times. I mean, the fact that you're on death's doorstep if you get a cesarean and they hand you a baby as they're literally stitching you up. And they're like, here you go, this is yours now, take care of it. And you're like,
Forever.
what? Can you put my guts back in first? And then we can talk about what I'm supposed to do with this thing? It's nuts. So I will say that I think this goes for my industry, and I think this goes for any industry ever, is that once you become a mother, parent, like, it's easier to balance because you don't have the option of not balancing it anymore. I was like, before I had kids, I wasted so much time, and I was having fun. But I was like, what did I do with my time? Now it's like you'll have 15 minutes and you could do anything. You have 15 minutes to yourself, you can not only change your entire frame of mind, but you can like respond to emails and get so much done in such a short amount of time now. Because that's all you have. You only get 15 minutes. So again, you guys, someone needs to write this script. Super mom, but like bad ASS, okay? Not like this night, no, both, okay? Maybe she could be wearing she could still be cooking, you know?
We'll have Steven mock it up for us.
Yeah, that'd be great. If you wouldn't mind, just while you're back there, if you could just mock up something quick. Okay, great.
We have an idea, and we need to jump on it right now.
Right this second before it's lost, because
we only have 15 minutes.
we only have 15 minutes. Thank you for that question, friend.
Any other questions?
Oh my God,
Stephen Walden.
Stephen Walden, everybody.
Appearing in Marcus Alley this weekend. Didn't come by his stuff.
So, from one creator to another,
Yeah.
one of the things that we have to do is be vulnerable, take risks in front of different gatekeepers, if it's an audience that's watching us or you're auditioning for whatever. And one of the things that a lot of people don't think about, or maybe a lot of them do who want to go into something creative, rejection is an inextricable part of the experience. How do you deal with rejection?
I cry a lot.
Right? And drinking?
Yeah, I cry. Yes.
Drugs.
No,
I
I
heard of
cry
choices
a
about
lot. You know, it's interesting. So, again, I'm going to bring up these kind of weird things, but thank you for that question, Stephen. So zebras, right? Zebras are out in the wild, and they are black and white striped. I mean, how do zebras survive? It's crazy to me that they can survive. They don't look like anything. Their coloring scheme is not correct for where they are. But they have a very relaxed neurosystem because after they outrun their prey, they shake. And they go through a period of shaking. I don't do this in my car, although I should, when I'm driving away from a rejection or an offer that's, you know, the show got rebooted, you're not in it. And they relax their entire neurosystem. And their whole limbic system relaxes. I don't think we allow ourselves to feel enough. I don't think we give ourselves, especially young boys, right? We don't give ourselves the permission to feel and to talk about our feelings and to express. We need to give ourselves that permission because it is hard no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you do, it can be hard and you need to find those spaces, those people where you feel like you can talk. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you. I appreciate the the clapping after something like that because you're like, listen, I hope this resonates. Otherwise, people are like, that chick is weird.
We just need an applause sign up here, like whenever you say something really profound. I didn't know where you were going with the zebra thing, but it ended up being really, really cool. So thank you for that. So Anais, thank you for joining us at the Superman celebration this year.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're doing autographs and photos over at Artist Alley and Writer's Way today and tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes.
And tomorrow, also at 1:30, you're hosting Super Voices
Ooh.
at the Smallville tent.
Is that with the kids?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, cool.
So that's 1:30 tomorrow at the Smallville tent. Let's check out what Stephen Walden's got going on behind us here. Sir, you had 45 minutes. You should be done. Please don't leave. Guys,
The creative
Stephen's
process,
amazing.
baby.
Yeah, he's amazing. Like I said, I've got a lot of his art on the walls at home. He's even got 3D art. You can put on the 3D glasses and check it out. So when you're going and seeing Anais, stop by Stephen's table because it's in the same little area. It makes it really easy for you.
Ooh. No.
It is. Yeah.
There's a Catwoman painting signed by Michelle Pfeiffer.
I think you need that. You might
I
need
think
that.
I need it. Can I have it?
It never hurts to ask.
Exactly.
It never hurts. What the first thing you'd say is no.
You know what?
And then you
Zebras
go,
ask.
yeah, they do.
Zebras are so happy because in the wild they ask. They talk about their feelings and they ask.
They do.
Doesn't hurt.
You guys didn't know you were going to get a lesson on African wildlife when you came here today. But
Oh my
it's
God,
all
so
about
amazing.
education of people. We talked about that. We got to make learning fun. And I think we did that
Yes.
today.
Oh, that's cool.
Mission accomplished.
Mission
So,
accomplished.
guys, give it up for Anais Fairweather. Thank you for
so
coming.
much.